Welcome to the Draft Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy hearing and deliberations on Wednesday the 10th of June 2026. I'm Councillor Julie Moffat and welcome you all here today. We're going to start off this morning with a couple of video presentations. The first one is from Izzy Mosley from Island Breeze.
Good morning, through the chair. Just maybe a brief introduction on what we're about to watch. As you would have remembered, for this consultation, we have asked for, considering the topic of the Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy, we invited the community to make creative submissions if they felt that was a better way to express their thoughts on the strategy. And I thought I'd just share that what we received apart from the normal maybe written submissions that we are used to. We, for example, received this submission from Olivia, which you can all would have seen in your submissions, but you can take a closer look if you want to see the real work, the original. And we also received 3 videos. So since we have the first speaker arriving a bit later, we thought we'll show you the videos. And the first one, it is not from Izzy Mosley, it's from the Island Breeze videos, and I'll play it to you now on the screens.
Island Breeze and other similar gatherings create a sense of belonging for our community members. It strengthens their identity and they're more likely to thrive when in a space with similar values, hearing familiar languages in your mother tongue, and just being proud about not just their culture, but belonging to our community.
E kōpinga takumana ki Island Breeze, ko tātou ka tātou a ina mana, a tā piu. E maka ki tātou, e uwa tātou na wahangai ne tātou ki kai ni iti, pēra katoa, na tārangi ne tā piu.
Preserving upgrading our cultures isn't just about new events or performances. It's about investing in our well-being. Our history, our protocols are passed down to our younger generations through matua, songs, dance, stories, art, and we should encourage them to participate in activities like Island Breeze. When our cultures are supported, our communities are stronger, more connected and resilient.
So that was to accompany the first submission, and then another video that we received. It has no sound, but it's from I think it's an impression from the Ashburton Society of Arts about their studio and their show at their annual show at the Art Gallery. And then the third video submission that we received is from Izzy Mosley, and I'll run that for you now.
Hi, my name is Izzy and I'm nearly 9 years old. I love art, dance, music and learning. Ashburton is such a great place to live because of the council and community precinct always so many fun things to do. When I was really little, my mum signed me up for dance class and I'm still enjoying it now. I've always loved painting, colouring, cutting, and gluing to make crafty stuff and mess for Mum. Art can also links us to the past. If you look through it, history is everywhere. Even when we go on big walks, there are information boards explaining the importance of the location. We often visit the museum and art gallery in Ashburton. The exhibits keep changing and the activities are so much fun. We also visit museums and galleries to learn about different cultures when we go away on holiday. I also like going to live performances. Most are at the Ashburton Event Centre, but I also like going to the Court Fest in Christchurch and attending big shows like Disney on Ice or Circus Away. Grandview Library is particularly cool. I read lots. I always have. Sometimes even Mum tells me to stop reading and go to sleep. I also enjoy meeting kids from other schools in the library playground. Dressing up is always fun too. I'm a part of the Takahaka group. I take guitar lessons with Janet, and we are currently practicing for our school-wide production of Around the World in 80 Days. Every student at school, even the Year Zeros, have a part and will be on the stage at the event centre. Even if my current dream of being an astronaut comes true, arts, culture and heritage will always be important to me. It fosters growth and learning for young and old. It brings people together. So why not join in and sing this famous Maori song, which when translated means stand together people, Chutia mai ngā iwi.
She's a busy girl.
Yes, thank you. So now there's a bit of a wait till the first speaker arrives, and we'll start with the hearings. Yeah. Oh, Michelle's here? Ah, perfect. Are you ready, Michelle? Yeah, I'll do fun. Yes.
Yeah.
So the speaker's now on. Okay.
Oh. Good morning.
Kia ora koutou.
Michelle Brett for the Hakateri Marae Kaitiaki. Welcome to you this morning. Kia ora, and please present your submission.
So I'm going to take make the assumption that you've read it, and so I just really wanted to go over our comments, just our observations and comments, rather than specifically through the whole submission. So, as you would have read, our first point is around. First, we wanted to say that we're very supportive of the strategy and love how it reads and parts of it. For us, with our first point, it was around having an understanding around and the relationship that's necessary for the council to have with aro whenua, but as a mātuaka marae or mātuaka people, which means people or tangata whenua, that's people from all around the country, not just here, not just aro whenua, that it's also a good opportunity to also feed into everybody all Māori that live within the community of Ashburton districts, as well as our local runanga. So we just wanted, that was probably our first point, to get that insight of what's actually happening within our community, but also what people want to see within that. And then the second one was around celebrating our diverse community and the different kind of kaupapa we have and projects to restore some of our mahikai or historical areas. And I know that there's been some work done on Hinipaka up near Alford Forest. I was going to say Staveley, but I know it's not there, Alford Forest. So, and it'd be good to see, and it's just promoting some more of that, and same with Wakanui around the historical, because that goes back a long time, so the historical cultural relevance of some of those areas. We also went on about around how it's great to see more te reo Māori used, and a good example of that, as we said in our submission, was this building itself. I think it's whakatira. Yeah, te whare. That was a good start. Now I know you all know it. That's good. And to see more of that is great. And just since I'm here and I've got the speaker at the moment, it would be really nice to make acknowledgement of our past kaumātua next time you're doing any streets street names and that, to consider Kepa Place or Kepa Crescent or Kepa something, to acknowledge Archie Kepa and his, or even Ricky Ellis, Poa Ricky Ellison, who actually was the kaumātua from Tauamutu that actually got the along with him and Archie and the group of them got it up and going. But it would be nice, especially, and I think with Archie being the first kaumātua actually in this area, because he actually was a councillor as well, for those of you that didn't know. So it'd be nice to, and I know that's not completely what this is, but it does lead into culture and heritage when you're looking at people, acknowledging people like that for futures to come, because we're not just thinking about today, we're thinking about in 100 years' time, and the significance of some of the contribution that some of the people have made to this community here. And to even add more relevance, his wife was a Tūtin who was one of the founders of Hakatere, so just throwing it out there. Okay, so also the other things that we've mentioned in here is around the tikanga and te ao Māori aspects, and one of the examples we've used here was a citizens' ceremony. And I know that you've got currently there's kapahaka going, but we were at one stage we did also have the whole mihi and introducing people and doing the whole process, having a pōwhiri process at the start, and then kapahaka through it, and going back and actually going back to implementing that, because I know it's a commitment and a commitment on our whānau out at the marae and stuff, but it's actually the right way to do things if we're really looking at arts, culture and heritage in regards to the particularly heritage and culture of this country as Aotearoa New Zealand. And we've already done it. It's just a matter of making sure the dates are set, and then making sure the supports enough time's given to ensure the supports are there for the council to ensure that those sort of things are done. And I did want to acknowledge not the council's support for Multicultural Bite, but actually the Multicultural Council for actually moving Multicultural Bite off Waitangi Day. So, yeah, so that's what our submission's about. So hopefully, and like I said, it's been itemised really well, our last 5 points on what we wanted you to consider. So we are open to questions, and I also, before I move forward, wanted to acknowledge Selwyn Price, who actually wrote the submission with all our feedback to present to today. So,
Kia ora, Michelle. Questions? Liz.
Yeah, thank you. Morena. Just around the citizenship ceremonies, do you think that, just walk me through how you think they would work? So they would be held on at Hakatere Marae. So would you have a pōwhiri first and then the citizenship ceremony at the marae, and then?
Well, there's two ways of doing it, and we have done it before. We had when it was at the event at the event centre, where we had a proper pōwhiri process. Well, more of a mihi whakatau, because we didn't have a responder.
Right.
In the same, you do the same process where you'd have people come, you do the pōwhiri, then you do the presentations in the wharenui,
Yes.
because it's a formal process, the citizens service, and then you'd have kaiwa hakari in the whare kai. So you'd go from one side of the building to the other and have your formal stuff on one side, which would time-wise would be the same time, because you do the pōwhiri process, then straight into your service, and then straight into your kai, which is what you do now, or at least include it back into the one that you have here in
The
town.
event centre. Yeah. So I think at the moment, if we're having 3 ceremonies a year, and we've set those for this year, but definitely something to think about. Yeah.
Any other questions for Michelle? Oh, great.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, Tony.
That's okay. Morning, Michelle.
Hello, Tony.
You referenced some Hanga Kai areas. I'm just interested, like, are they all identified? Like, how many areas are there in the district as such?
Well, to have a focus on them, a lot of them are already identified, and like I said, the council here has a relationship with Aorowhenua, and they'll know some as well. But it would be nice to actually work together to enhance those areas, and it kind of crosses into your environmental stuff as well.
Okay. That's it. Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. And next up, we have Selwyn Price for the Hakatiri Multicultural Council. Morena.
Morena.
Welcome, Selwyn. I see you're here with 2 hats on today. So starting off with your 5-minute submission for the Hakatiri Multicultural Council.
I'm actually here with 3 hats on this morning because I'm also a kaitiaki of the marae. Tēnā koutou katoa. So, from the perspective of Hakatiri Multicultural Council, at our last monthly meeting, the board members discussed this proposal, this strategy, and we came up with a collective response. First of all, I'd just like to say I think this strategy is long overdue, and thank you very much for moving in this direction. I do recall probably 10 years ago that a similar strategy was attempted and went nowhere, so it looks like we're making progress. Arts, culture and heritage is a huge area, and one of the things that Hakatiri Multicultural Council is really keen to see is that we move forward in an all-embracing approach. So when we think about culture and heritage, we think about the diversity of the culture and heritage that we have within the district. It's very difficult to actually rank the different pillars of the strategy. I think it's really important that we have all 5 pillars operating together, and that's important so that they support each other. I would just like to endorse what's been said from the marae perspective. We had a noho marae a couple of years ago, and one of the participants made it very, very clear to him that he had lived here for 11 or 12 years at the time, and he said, I didn't really feel I belonged until I came onto the marae and was welcomed. I think that's, in terms of the citizenship ceremony, I think that's quite a powerful voice and needs to be taken into account. I would like, from the perspective of the Multicultural Council, we would like to see more done from the council to support events like Multicultural Bite. As Michelle mentioned, it has been moved away from Waitangi Day, so there's no longer that confusion about what it is all about. It's an event that has been going now for around 15 years. It's well established in the district. It attracts large numbers from not only within the district but from without the district as well. And I think, just some simple things like, yes, it's held on the domain, but just making that whole process a lot easier to hold an event of that kind, I think would be important. It is all done by volunteers, and it brings the district together. It puts us on the map, so to speak. I think we could do an awful lot more in that space. I don't want to keep on talking because you've read my submission, or read our submission rather. I'm happy to take questions.
Just one from me. When you're talking about the process of putting on Multicultural Bite, what would make that simpler?
I think a little bit more support from, for example, Open Spaces have been very supportive. In my experience, I was involved with Multicultural Bite a few years ago. Open Spaces have been very supportive, but just the hoops that people have to jump through to hold events. I think the events team, now that there is an events team, could actually smooth the way for that a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, Liz.
Thank you. Morning, Selwyn. Just on one of in your submission, you've talked about you'd like us to resurrect and expand on some of the ethnic gardens that have previously existed within the domain. And all I can think of is when we had the Filipino garden in there. Is that what you were talking about, or are there others that I don't know about?
That is exactly the example that was raised by one of our board members. But before that, there was also a bed planted with marigolds, if I remember rightly, which was representing Indian culture as well. So there have been a few of them, but that came to an end, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remember who initiated those, or did it come from the welcoming communities?
I think the concept came from the very first one was the Indian one. I think that concept came from the Indian community.
Okay.
And that was back in the day of David Askin.
Yeah. And then maybe through welcoming communities after that. Oh no, that's good. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, good morning. You talked about support of volunteer organisations, and also I'll put in the same support for sporting groups, to help them. We do a bit through the grants. Are there any other ways you think we could do that, support them more, the volunteer organisations, and without with money, because money is tight, so to just give more money is a hard one to. It's an easy option, but it's a hard option.
Yeah, that was exactly what was going to be my response. Just as an example, yes, you do support organisations through grants, and we, Multicultural Council, do receive a grant from Ashburton District Council. It is ever decreasing. While our costs go up, our grant does go down, and that's not just District Council grants, but that's most grants from all funders. That is where we sit at the moment. I think a lot of in-kind support could be done in terms of publicity, coordination. As I mentioned, the events team. I think the events team could get on board with a lot of those activities. Yeah.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Morning, Selwyn. You referred to doing more to promote ethnic communities in general. I do notice some of these groups using this building to promote different activities.
Yep.
So, in what areas do you believe that we can do more to help promote those ethnic groups? For many years, I've been going, as an example, I've been going to Filipino events in the Timwell Memorial Hall. I think, waiving charges on that, for example, to promote some of those activities, to make it easier for organisations to hold those kind of events. I know that these things have to be maintained, but, we need to encourage groups like UNIFIL and FDWNZ to hold their events, to make it easy for them, because they do so much in the community for a group of people that are essential to the economic well-being and not only that, cultural well-being of this community. Yeah.
So, ADC has a lot of weight, not just financially, but also in terms of facilities and the opportunity to promote and just publicise, coordinate. I think the idea of coordinator is a great idea. There are so many times when events have been organised and at last minute people find out that there's 3 other events happening on at the same time. That kind of coordination would be a big step forward.
Okay. Yep. Just one other wee thing. You mentioned the Ethnic Family Fun Day has changed or something. What's it called now? You said the naming of it had changed.
I can't tell you exactly what it's called now, but it used to be the Ethnic Family Fun Day for a long time. Okay. Ethnic communities supported it. As soon as it changed its name, it was less supported.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try to look it up. I couldn't find it. So, okay.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Kia ora, Selwyn. The multicultural bite hoops that you refer to, the other hoops.
No pun intended.
Yes. Have you talked to the economic development team or the events team about those in the past? And I understand we have some processes, technology-wise, with things a bit more tick box and easier to follow. Have they sort of found that helpful?
As I mentioned, my involvement goes back a little way. The events team, yes, back in the day when Sarah Davidson was coordinator of that. And the open spaces team were very helpful. There were a lot of little things that needed negotiation, such as access onto the domain for people to set up.
Yeah.
A few posts in the gutter to get vehicles up over that was not a great idea. But yes, we haven't talked to economic development though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Selwyn on behalf of the Multicultural Council? No. And now switching hats, Selwyn, for the Ashburton Art Gallery Incorporated.
Thank you. Let me get my papers in order. Right, so once again, at our monthly meeting, just to make this very clear, we did discuss this as an item on the agenda, quite an important item on the agenda. We did do it after Councillor Moffat had left the meeting so that there was no perceived conflict of interest. And this is essential. This was written by one of our committee members based on notes that were taken during that meeting. Once again, we want to thank Council for developing the strategy. we note and appreciate the commitment to the Arts Council, Arts, Culture and Heritage. And it was particularly well noted that the publicity around this submission, around making submissions, was particularly good. The use of Robin Malcolm and various other alumni, was, including David Elliott, was noted, and that whole publicity campaign we thought was very well done. We support the decision to keep it together, arts, culture and heritage together in one strategy. We think that's important, that it is kept together. We did note that we have incredibly world-class facilities within the district. Rockefeller obviously is the one that we have most connection to, and we are always hearing from artists about their positive response, and I think it's worth noting that we have been incredibly well served over more than 30 years by the staff at that institution, and it has been, even though it has been a learning curve for us as an art gallery committee, to now embrace a combined institution. It has been a very positive move, and we'd like to commend the council for doing that as well. One of the things we would like council to do in this area, and let me just give you a little bit of context. So Ashburton Art Gallery Inc. Operated the gallery until about 4 years ago. So we operated the gallery for more than 25 years, until it became a department of council. We now, our emphasis as a committee is now on looking after the collection. We acquire works for the collection. We conserve works in the collection. And yeah, we think that within the district there is a good case for ADC to be making submissions nationally on how funding can come to this district, because we are, by all accounts, we are left behind in terms of financial contributions to arts, culture and heritage through creative communities and other schemes like that. We are left behind compared to other centres around the country. So that advocacy at a national level we think is very important. Again, the notion of a coordinator we agree is a very important role. We again note that there are so many times where there are conflicting events that are drawing the same demographic in terms of support. Just somebody to calendar events or have a central calendar is something that's been identified for a long, long time. We also noted that there did seem to be a bit of lack of measurable outcomes in some areas. Promoting Kātoi Māori is an admirable aspiration. How it's going to be done is not made very clear in the strategy. And yeah, we just I think one of the things that we did last year was we held a Pech Kucha for a number of organisations that are involved in the arts in Ashburton, and we found that there are so many different organisations, so many people involved, and I think, Mayor Liz, you were there speaking on behalf of Hakateri Ceramics. So many different organisations that are doing stuff in this area, and other organisations know very little about them. And they know very little about what actually happens around the area, and there just needs to be that centralised facilitating support, cooperation, and I think that's what's really lacking in the district at the moment in terms of the arts. So again, happy to take questions.
Would you see the art gallery as a hub to bring those organisations together?
As a space, yes. I think that's already happening. If we look at the art gallery, in fact, I mean, this is one of the issues that we have at the moment, and we'll be discussing it further as we go on. But one of the issues we have is the art gallery as an institution no longer exists. Rockefeller is the art gallery and heritage centre. But yes, that building, yes, it is. And if you look at what's has happened in the last 12 months or so, visitor numbers have ricocheted after COVID. Some of the educational programs are oversubscribed. It is really buzzing. So yes, I do see it as a potential hub.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan, for your submissions. They've been really helpful, actually. My comment is on the disappointing statistic of $9 per capita for Mid-Canterbury, South Canterbury region versus $34 for Wellington region. And you're suggesting perhaps one way to support submissions coming from Ashburton Art Gallery Incorporated, not Rockefeller, I'm assuming, is to be a signatory or to write a supportive document alongside, or how do you think, because we obviously can't apply for the funding.
No, absolutely. But you as a council, as a territorial authority, have a lot more weight than any individual incorporated society within the district. Making those submissions to the minister, for example, making those submissions to the Parliament, I don't know who to, making them to the Minister for the South Island, potentially.
More, like an awareness.
Yes.
Which I'm sure we can be support. I can't see that we certainly can. And by highlighting that, you've made that clear to us. I did have another question. Another comment really. Citizens Advice Bureau formulate a document with clubs and societies and things in it. Are you suggesting more than that for a central repository of information?
As we noted, that is that document, which they do revise every year, is nothing more than a directory of its contact addresses, numbers, whatever. It doesn't. It's not comprehensive. It was never intended to. So the strategy relying on that, we think is flawed. There needs to be that basically a directory of free services within the district. It's nothing more than that, and it does not distinguish between what kind of services are there.
Can I just ask one follow-on question, please? Thank you, Madam Chair. So what you are suggesting is a dedicated arts, culture and heritage, if you like, list of what this community can provide.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of overlap in that, of course, so...
There is, yes, there is. And I've been involved with the art gallery since 1996.
Long time,
we are still struggling to make ourselves distinct from the Art Society, because the Art Society was obviously predated us. But we have very different functions. But yeah, something that is distinctly arts, culture and
Okay,
heritage and goes a little bit further
That
than just
seemed-
a directory.
Okay, that's a good insight. Thank you. And thank you for everything you do on behalf of our arts community as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz.
Thank you. Kind of leads on from Carolyn's question. Just around events guides. So obviously council have their own events guides on our website, which usually includes quite a number of events from the Rockefeller, I think, at the moment.
It does now, yeah.
Does now. So that's the thing. That's good.
Once now there's a Department of Council.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. And just thinking, and you mentioned it with, events, sort of similar events happening at the same time, and I don't know if it's still happening, but Time Bank, or its time, Canterbury was looking at as sort of a calendar where anyone could go in there and say, hey, I'm going to do an event, and put it on the calendar. Just checking if you're aware of that, or if that is still something that is working, and if not, how do we sort of tackle that?
I think the problem is, as well-meaning as Time Bank is, it doesn't have the clout that council has.
Right, I understand.
And I think, yes, we are aware of it. Yes, we have used it in the past. We have also struggled in the past to publicise events because we weren't a Department of Council, therefore we didn't have that clout. But when you have council pages in the newspaper, for example, that advertise what's happening, it has a lot more impact than just an individual group trying to make that effort.
Thank you.
I've just had a thought. So would something like forming an arts, culture and heritage steering group type thing with representatives from the various groups, would that get everyone talking and then they can get together and form their own plan?
I think it would. The Patch Kucha that we started last year was an example of that. When people started talking to each other, they were all in the same room. And then when ADC did their stakeholders meeting workshop for this strategy, it was another example of people coming together and being aware of what other groups are working in that space. So, we were there with people from the pipe band. We were there from the Aviation Museum. There were lots of different examples of people involved in arts, culture and heritage in the same room. And I think, for me, as far as I'm aware, that's the first time for possibly forever within this district. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Oh, thank you so much, Selwyn.
You're welcome.
We're just waiting for our final presentation, so we'll just take a short recess until Maxine Watson arrives. Thank you. you. Welcome back to our Draft Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy hearing Wednesday the 10th of June 2026, and welcome to the top table Maxine Watson from Historic Places Mid Canterbury. Welcome along today, Maxine, and please begin your submission.
Thank you. My apologies for keeping you waiting. There really isn't an excuse other than the fact that I for some reason thought it was 10 past and not 10:02 until I looked at my time. Anyway, Historic Places Mid Canterbury strongly supports working with other arts, culture and heritage groups from within the wider Whakatere Ashburton district. There's a natural sympathy between these interest groups. We believe working together on projects would attract a wider and more diverse audience than each might attract individually. We would envisage a cooperative approach, and the suggestion of appointing a coordinator would ensure a fair and balanced working atmosphere, with each group contributing its ideas and sharing expertise, thereby also mitigating the chance of overlapping or competing events. Historic Places Mid Canterbury was part of the Heritage Working Group facilitated by Carolyn Cameron in the last term of the council, which made some interesting progress around the town centre. It would be good if the momentum begun there could be picked up in the implementation of this strategy. One possibility of this cooperative approach could perhaps be the creation of an Arts, Culture and Heritage Week, where all groups put some effort into displaying and educating the public on a particular theme through a variety of events. Displays in the Art Gallery and Museum and Family History groups, which we're always familiar with, but added to that maybe some guided town walks, open heritage homes and buildings. Different cultural groups could display and educate the public about where they come from, their crafts, beliefs and traditions. A further advantage of a coordinator would be in a liaison role with council, as it's often hard to know who to approach on a given issue. Historic Places Mid Canterbury applauds the proactive role played by council with regard to the Ninking Market Gardens in Allens Road, the Kate's Grain Store and its inclusion of Pioneer Hall within this building. We hope that by implementing this strategy, situations like the fate of Cavendish Chambers may at least have been canvassed publicly. Sad to say, we doubt even this could have averted the demolition by neglect perpetuated over 20 years of Balmoral Hall, and we mourn its imminent demise. Historic Places Mid Canterbury would commit to working with others and see this as an exciting and positive way forward. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this strategy.
Thank you, Maxine. Any questions from councillors at all? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Maxine, for your submission, and I particularly like the idea of the Arts, Culture and Heritage Week. I think that's a tremendous idea, really. And it would be good to see if we can, or if it's possible to progress that. My question is around our old historic buildings. Are you continually identifying heritage, like presumably as we move forward in life, more buildings come up to meet the heritage sort of requirement, if
They
you
all
like.
get older if they're allowed.
Yes, that's right. That's essentially my question. Do you have a list of buildings that are coming along to meet sort of a standard that would be make them a heritage building?
We have been looking at that, and in speaking with Ian Hydes, it seems like changes to the RMA may make that life very difficult for the council to support even what we've got on the district plan. By adding more to that, difficult to say. We do have a few, but we haven't done anything with them at this stage.
Okay, so what you understand is the changes with the RMA mean that if you did present someone could appeal them, or they wouldn't be accepted by the council, or
possibly not accepted by the council,
okay,
simply because of the implications for council cost-wise
okay,
would become draconian.
okay.
That's
Right.
what I understood. I can't
Okay.
actually speak of any particular
No.
instance because that hasn't been implemented
Yeah.
yet.
Okay, thanks, Maxine.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, good morning. You talked about a cooperative group sort of scenario, with the arts and culture to sort of improve it. We have something called ADBAG, which Ashburton District Biodiversity Group, which I think is sort of what you're talking about, where all the different groups come together and we have the strategy as the basis. Would that be the sort of thing you're thinking of, or what?
I am not familiar with that. It's not something that obviously Historic Places Mid Canterbury has been made aware of. So we are not part of it, and I don't know how it works.
Okay, that's good.
Any other questions? No. Thank you very much, Maxine. Thanks for your time. And that ends the hearings part of our proceedings today. We'll just have a 10-minute break. 10-minute break. You're all welcome to come and have a cup of tea or coffee with us, and then we will resume with deliberations after that. Thank you. to the deliberations part of our draft Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy today, Wednesday 10th of June 2026. And Femke, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So welcome. We are now at the deliberations on the draft strategy following the hearing earlier this morning. A very brief summary of how we got where we are today at these deliberations. So the original decision from Council to develop an arts, culture and heritage strategy was made during the deliberations for the previous long-term plan in May 2024, when it was decided that Council would develop this strategy in year 2. So the work initially started in July 2025 with stakeholder engagement through both a survey and a workshop. And the feedback that we collected there from all these community groups was the core of the draft strategy. This was then presented to Council and discussed with you during workshops in December and March. And the initial draft was discussed with the internal stakeholders, the teams within Council that work in this area, like the property team, open spaces, economic development, communications, also to make sure that their feedback was included in the proposed draft. So it was earlier I think it must have been April when we presented, and the draft has also been shared with Auraki Environmental Consultancy to collect their feedback. So it was in April when we presented this draft strategy for you to adopt for community consultation, which ran from the 4th to the 24th of May. And we received 42 submissions from the community. As we've mentioned at the start of the hearings, we tried a bit of a different approach. Our communications team did an amazing job in bringing in some big names from our own cultural heritage and cultural fields to promote the strategy in the community and to get as many submissions as possible. And we received, so from the 42 submissions, there were 17 on behalf of organizations and 25 from individuals. So we have heard the community today, and now it is time for Council to deliberate on the strategy. And this is a generic information on deliberations on what the process will be today. So we assume that all the submissions have been read, which is through the full submission booklet that was shared with you. And today we will go through the summary feedback, where the feedback is presented in themes, and there's also officer comments provided when there were questions asked by submitters or issues raised. So we will go through all the feedback, and today is also your opportunity to ask any questions about the strategy, or if you have any comments about the document itself to discuss today. So I would probably ask you to open, if you have to open the summary of feedback document on your tablets, and we will go through that document page by page. It won't be on the screen, or I can probably. No, if everyone has it on their tablets, then that's fine. So the first question that we asked in the consultation document was around the vision, and if the community members supported the vision. As you will see on page 4, there was 35 people that said, out of the 39 responses, 35 people said they support the vision, and 4 people stated they do not support the vision. And there's different feedback on that starting on page 5. Page 6. Page 7.
just a question, just on Selwyn Price's submission for the Hakatiri Multicultural Council and asking for more ADC support for events such as Multicultural Bite, the Talent Show, Noodle Festival, etc. So is there a way of doing that, or are we doing that already through welcoming communities and some of our comms?
Thank you, through the chair. The council does provide support through grant funding. There is the specific event process when you're holding events on council land, and so I haven't dug into the detail, and Mr. Hyde is here, so maybe I'll jump in, but I'm expecting that we'd be taking the same approach to any users of council land for hosting events in terms of the standards that we're expecting them to jump through, but there may be some specific things that are catching the group out as they're going through that event booking process that perhaps we might need to ride along shotgun with them just to help. But I'll pass over to Mr. Hyde in case he's aware of anything further.
Yes, thank you, Tony. Through the chair, I think the important thing to recognise is that a lot of what the ED team do, and specifically the events coordinator, is both hard and soft. So there's the event permit and the actual application process and doing the administration around that. But then there's also quite a lot of work that goes into actually helping people, particularly community groups, to navigate those. Those processes, which can be a little bit complicated, and to try and upskill them to help them to get through their application. And there is, I know, a lot of work that gets done behind the scenes with those groups to try and help them. So there's always more that can be done, and but I think what we're doing at the moment is trying our level best to help them through the processes, and that relates, as Tony said, to everybody that comes through the door.
And did I see somewhere that there's an event at the moment for people who are interested in holding events to get their heads around? So that information could obviously, go out and be distributed so that people are getting the right information and knowing who the contact is and making it easier.
Absolutely, Mayor Liz. So there's an event about events.
Yeah,
yep.
Thought so.
I don't have the date to hand, but Ian might know off the top of his head.
Sadly, no, I don't, but I can find that out. And just to add through the chair as well, that is a big part of it, is to help people to help themselves, to give them the tools to be able to effectively do what they need and want to do in the community.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to carry on from Liz's comment, do we have, if I turned up to run an event of which I've never done before, and someone says fill that form in, and I cannot fill that form in for whatever reason, don't understand the question, don't have that information, is there somebody here that they can say, well, if you can't answer this, go to Mary Poppins and she's an expert on that? Do we have, because we've heard this comment not just only in this forum but in other forums as well, is this, are we proactively trying to support people to run events in terms of, you can ring up so-and-so and they'll help you?
Through the chair, that is our priority, is that one of the things that has been identified is that in the community there is difficulty, particularly with some of the processes and the legal processes that have to go through for special licenses and health certification and all of that kind of thing. So as Ms. Durham said, that there is a program that we've got, including an event on events, to actually help people to find that information and to clarify where they can come to. But we'd always suggest that in the first instance, they just come to us, come to the events team and ask for help then, and we'll try and help them through, because we've got networks of people that we can direct people to, and also the in-house knowledge to help as well. That's what we're here for.
That's very reassuring to hear that, because we do want to have events and we do want people to come to our district and manage events and facilitate sort of well-being through that space. And that is reassuring, because through the chair to the officer, we have heard in the past that sometimes it is not so easy to navigate the system to have events. So I'd like to see that as something that we do really work on.
We've heard a couple of people mention this morning about having a coordinator. Would that be part of that coordinator role if we had someone like that, or is that blurring the line between events and arts, culture and heritage?
Through the chair, I think the role of a possible coordinator was seen as more as not that. The event role is already covered here, so possibly that if the role was ever successful, then it would work pretty closely alongside that, you'd imagine.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Yeah, my sort of question is along the same lines, probably directed to you, Ian. Do the ED team look at the so-called hoops that need to be jumped through, and are they looking at possible ways to simplify? It's just a follow-on from what Carolyn was saying. Yeah.
Through the chair, I guess there's two parts to that. There's the regulatory and I guess you call it bureaucracy that you have to go through to keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
Which is a necessary evil, if you like to call it that. But then there are also the efficiencies that we see that can make things easier, and that can be putting on events for people. It can be making sure that our websites and our application processes are simple and people can find the information they need and they're directed to the right places, and that also our ability to respond when people make inquiries. So, for example, if somebody wants to do, I don't know, a function centre, for example, then they don't just get passed from team to team and then get told, and you'll also need this, and you'll also need this, and also they get one answer, and it's all at once.
Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Yes, the words accessible to all, I think that rings quite a note. If you go through, a lot of the people are talking about that, and it's because the arts can be seen, I'm just saying can be seen as quite elitist sometimes. And so the accessible to all, that also reminds me of diversity and different cultures. And I see that supported in those words, or those sort of themes are coming through quite strongly. So I think we've got the strategy vision sort of right when we've put those words in, because it does encompass it a bit wider.
Okay, any other comments around that? Carry on, Femke.
Thank you.
Sorry, Femke.
No.
Femke. Just to say that event is on the 30th of June.
The event for events.
Thank you. We're at page 7. Page 8.
Just a very quick comment on Peter Murray's submission, and just how he's listed all the different events he's been to really shows what we do have here in the district.
Richard.
There is a comment by Edith Smith from the Historic Places Mid Canterbury, and I think we've had that tone, and that's just around buildings that we demolish. But I think we're very aware of that, and it's more a money thing rather than we would love to keep all the old buildings and do them up, but I think there's a tension there which we understand, I'm sure.
Page number 9. And on page number 10, you have the people that do not support the vision and their feedback.
Councillor Gilkinson.
Just acknowledging that there's 4 comments here, and I guess a couple of them are related to costs. And I guess at this stage with the strategy, we're not putting forward any, money. But what I would like to add is that at a presentation recently by Creative New Zealand, they had the data that said for every $1 that gets spent on the arts, you get $13 worth of benefit back to the community. Now, I know that's really hard to quantify in every sense of the word, but I think it is worth taking into consideration that money spent doesn't go nowhere. which from the other submitters you can see that's the case.
So this feedback on the vision, we sort of tested if our current proposed vision was missing any of the feedback that was provided. So we've run a bit of a test I can put it on the screen now. So overall there was strong support and alignment for the vision that we've proposed in the draft strategy. But there were some topics that were addressed in the feedback, specifically related to the theme of or the importance of inclusivity and collaboration and coordination that were possibly not literally reflected in our current vision that we proposed. So if council would want to consider updating the vision with the feedback provided, we've got some suggestions for council to consider if they would want to do so. So the first option you will see in yellow highlighted is where there would be an additional wording to our to the current proposed vision. So in number 1, that would just reference more specifically the diverse communities. And number 2, you could reference specifically more the inclusive element and the partnerships. And these are just suggestions for council to consider, or you can keep the current vision as is. That's for you to decide.
Councillor Wilson.
I probably don't. I don't think you should be putting the first one in, because when you put it in, you actually identify it separately. When accessible to all is all, and to me, all is everybody. It includes diverse, but once you put it as diverse, you're putting it in as a separate group to all, and all is everybody. So I don't know why you're separating them out as a diverse, as another group that aren't part of the all. So accessible to all, inclusive of, but to me, all is all.
I tend to agree. Tony.
Thank you. It's quite interesting though, we need to recognise our diverse community, and if you look at Ashburton College at the moment, there's 52 different ethnicities at Ashburton College. So we are a diverse community in some form, really.
Councillor Cameron.
I think option 2A reads well. It's reads like a vision. It talks about inclusive and accessible to all, and talks about strong partnership, but doesn't actually deny supporting dollar-wise in the future or at another stage, but it does acknowledge that we are a supporter and a connector of these sorts of things. So I like option 2A. 2B I don't think adds anything, really.
Phil.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I agree with Richard on 1. I think leaving it accessible to all is fine.
Okay.
Do we need a decision on 1 or 2A? So
oh, sorry. Right.
Is 2A? I'm happy with 2A.
Okay.
Can I talk? You haven't got the original one up there that we submitted on, so you should have.
So the original is everything excluding the yellow wording.
Yeah. So the original was not one of my options, so I can't say I support. I mean, so you've changed it. We've put it out to everybody to submit on, and now we're changing it, but we haven't got the original one that is up there. So it should be.
These are
0 or what is it? 1B or something? I don't know. Yeah.
These are alternative options to consider next to the existing one, so it's up to council. Yeah.
I think if you take the yellow out, you've got the original. So if Julie does a show of hands, she can say add original to it,
Yes, I'm happy with 2A. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Show of hands. Who's happy with 2A?
Thank you. We'll go to page number 11 on the in the summary document, and that's when we asked the community about the different goals and objectives and their support. So the first goal is the focus area of collaboration and coordination. And the goal that we proposed was working together in genuine partnership to align effort, resources, and leadership across the arts, culture, and heritage sector. And community feedback was that 90% was in support of the submitters, 90% was in support of this goal and its objectives, and 10% did not support it. And the feedback is presented from page 12 onwards. Page 13. Page 14.
Just a quick question on page 14, and it's on Edith Smith's submission and just about the Heritage Working Group, which was stood up last term of council. Is that right? Just for the term, and then two terms. Sorry, and then but it's completed what it was stood up for. I guess is that the reason why it was disbanded?
Yes, council chose not to continue it into this term of council.
Page 15, there's some specific comments about events and coordination.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Through the chair, if I noticed that the chair, that Councillor Moffat suggested some sort of steering group, would that come under actions, Tony? Like when will we discuss the actions beneath the strategy? Is that to be discussed at a later date?
No, that will be discussed today or now. That could be, the action plan is a bit later in the presentation.
So shall I wait till later to discuss that?
Yes, that's all right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Richard.
I won't wait till then. I read Selwyn Price's one saying that if I need to community, a district-wide coordination, and I feel in the biodiversity space, which we have the ad bag, which is actually working very well for that coordination. We bring all the groups together, they can meet and mingle and talk, and then the strategy is the basis for that group. And so everything's measured against our strategy. Now, if we've got an arts strategy, that could be an option to do that, which could work in a similar sort of way, bring them together, and it doesn't actually cost a lot of money either, but because it's just a quarterly meeting. So I would see that could tick some of the boxes, and it would fit in well with the strategy at the top to work in genuine partnership. Genuine partnership. So that would be a way of showing that, as it was.
Liz.
So just to comment on that, so it would be more a working group, similar. I know the word steering group was used, but it could be a working group that, similar to road safety, similar to biodiversity, where all the interested parties get together and meet. How would council be involved in that, just by providing a venue and maybe some support, similar to when we had the Heritage Group? And I say Sarah.
Sarah?
Through the chair, just one clarification about the Heritage Group. The initial scope of that project was for the interpretive panels that are around the district, I should say the CBD areas, and that was its purpose. There was a sum of funding that allowed for that project. I'm going to say it was $8,000 per annum, so not particularly large. The resource and time to from an officer's perspective, to work on that project was a lot larger than $8,000. $8,000 was just for the literally the physical items that we got delivered and printed, which was fantastic. So I guess the challenge about resourcing and having a steering group in this place, and when we get to the action plan, it will be good to pick it up fully. There's so many different parties in the strategy, which is fantastic, and it is similar to biodiversity in that sense. But council has a biodiversity officer that runs the biodiversity portfolio. Our staff at Rockefeller, at the library, etc., run the facilities. So it's, unless we had the coordinator role and was delivering and able to deliver that, it would actually detract from their time and ability to do their current jobs. So it isn't quite like with like, even though there is some similarities. And the Heritage Committee wasn't stood up this year, this term, because the purpose was met and there wasn't seen to be a purpose that delivered the next step. So that's the sort of backstory, I guess, to that. So while there could be something in the future, we need the priority in the order of the resourcing to allow for it to be successful. Otherwise, it will become a meeting that can't achieve much, which would be, clearly a hard use of officer time.
I want to add to that, Tony.
No, I think Sarah summed it up really well. I mean, everything is possible, but it's also around trying to keep delivering everything else that's expected also. So the resourcing sequencing is important if that's where we want to go.
Richard.
Probably make a comment on that. I do sometimes believe, even in the biodiversity space, that the talkie and the doey get confused, where sometimes people think they're going to come to that like a group where we can go and cut bushes and plant things and that. It's not about that at all. It's just getting people in a space where they can talk about it. And sometimes there is groups think that we'll have a field day, we'll go and do stuff, and that group will go and do it. No, it's not about that. It's really just sitting and letting people have a space where they can talk about it. So there can be confusion. Like, I think you would not be doing your panels in that group. One group might do the panels, and you go, excellent, you go and do them. That's as far as you would go. It's not about funding groups doing things. It's about letting them be in a space where they can get their message out or interact.
Carolyn.
I'd like to support Councillor Wilson's comments. Also, I'd like everybody to think about how much we actually give out in grants funding to the arts and various cultural groups within the district, and just think, does that require some sort of consideration to make sure we're spending that appropriately? And I think, as per your suggestion, a steering group would be a great way to do that. It doesn't necessarily come attached to a budget. And I think, Sarah, what was $6,000 or $8,000, and it was for the panels. But I actually think I wanted to go and do more panels, but there was not a lot of support for that. Like, we could do more interpretive panels, or we could do more heritage activity. So I think this is, whilst we're doing this strategy, and we heard from a couple of submitters that we could do like heritage weeks. Well, none of those submitters suggested that the council fund those heritage weeks. You know, they would be happy to do a program for their own open days, or their own events, or the cinema, or cultural dance, or cultural music, or Hakatari Marae could be open, or a whole lot of things could be going on. So I don't think, and none of the submitters said council need to fund that. So I think we can have a role as facilitator. And we also heard from submitter Price when he said that we're getting $9, I think he said, per capita for arts and culture and heritage in mid-Canterbury, South Canterbury, compared to $34 in Wellington. Well, we could lend our shoulder to that, like we did for the former refugees, when we talked about that the subsidy, the money they were granted to settle in a community, was too low. We did a submission to MB to say that's too low, and I think we could do a lot more in the space, even if it was only at a bare minimum, an acknowledgement of ratepayers' contribution to the arts and the culture and heritage in this community. So I totally support Councillor Wilson, and would like to see such a group reimagined or reinvigorated, or whatever the word is.
Jeanette.
Yeah, I would support Councillor Wilson's view. As a person, along with Councillor Hooper, we're on road safety. Now, I believe we don't use that much of council's time, because everybody brings their own reports and they discuss the issues together, and we have some secretariat and some coordinating work ably done. But I don't think it asks a lot of council, but we go there and we discuss the issues and highlight the issues, and then those who can make things happen take it away and make it happen where they are. And council doesn't have to do it, but by sharing that information and that knowledge, it highlights issues for everyone involved.
So if we were to include an action along the lines of establishing a working group for the implementation of the strategy, bearing in mind resourcing challenges, and the terms of reference would need to reflect and just keep that in check in terms of what it is able to do and able to commit to, that could be useful in the action plan from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, sounds like it. Liz?
Yeah, I think so, and I know we've talked about 4 times, meet quarterly, could even be twice a year, and it could be, as Councillor Cameron mentioned, a link in with the grants, but I think you heard from a couple of submitters that those pre-workshops or the surveys that you did and getting the people into the art gallery to talk about this strategy was really beneficial, because they're kind of meeting people that they don't normally talk to, and I think that's kind of the key. And sometimes as a council we have to stand up and kind of take ownership of that and provide a little bit of support.
And that wouldn't necessarily be forever. It could just be in the short term, and then they get their own momentum going, I guess. Phil?
Just a question about it. Is this with or without the coordinator? Because I think that's probably an important piece of the puzzle.
So just going back to the action. So currently we do have on page 18 of the strategy an action that says explore and establish, if appropriate, the option of a community working group that drives the strategy. So it's sort of along the lines, I think, of what you're talking about, but maybe needs a bit of strengthening. Just because I think you're saying that that's really important for it to actually happen. The intent, I guess, with that was that obviously council hasn't committed any particular funding to it at this point, but we would look for other sources to fund any future coordinator position, for example, or to help drive the strategy. But obviously that's not guaranteed. So there's the question of whether council wants to put funding into that now or in the future.
Anything else? Liz.
Thank you. And maybe the coordinator position could come out of the working group meetings, and they may not necessarily be an employee of council. It could be someone else.
Carolyn?
And that's a good point. I think it's perhaps premature to invest in a coordinator without actually understanding what we're coordinating. And until we have a few meetings under our belt and get some insight, there might be other opportunities, or we might consider it essential, we may not,
And I've just been going back in the archives of my brain, in the biodiversity strategy, the original one, it had a working group without a role for a number of years, until it sort of gained the momentum and a role was created in the end. Yeah, so it's not unprecedented here.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll move on to page number 17, where the question referenced goal number 2, education. To grow and support creative learning and knowledge sharing of arts, culture and heritage in the community, and strengthen the capability, leadership and sustainability of the organizations and people involved in the sector. So again, we asked the community if they supported this goal and objectives, and 35 people said they supported the goal and 5 people said they did not. And feedback is from starting at page 18 with the people that support. Page 19.
Can I just ask about Selwyn's point about bringing the citizenship ceremonies back onto the Hakatere Marae? So how would that be? More work for council, less work? Do we know?
I think it's probably a little bit premature. I mean, potentially it's a very good idea, but I think at the moment I'm not aware of any actual discussions that have been had with the marae or other parties, so it's probably a little bit premature to comment at the moment, but it's certainly something that can be taken forward and considered.
Because Michelle Brett did bring that up this morning, so it's probably worth looking into that.
And just a little bit of input from me. I quite often will meet with Shelley and Caitlin around the citizenship ceremony, so it's maybe something we could bring up. I know we've got the next 2 set for the year, but something maybe for next year.
Page 20. Some specific feedback on katoa Māori.
Dare I bring up another point from Selwyn when he spoke about karakia in council as a way of supporting culture. I believe previous councils decided not to have karakia. Or does anyone have any feelings about that at the moment? Oh, sorry, Richard.
No, probably, anybody wants to answer your question first?
Oh, I think, gosh, 10 years ago when I joined council, we would get a different minister from each of the denominations come in to do a prayer before our meeting. And then over COVID, obviously, we weren't in the chambers, and so I think from there nothing was really decided going forward. So it's something to keep in the back of our mind. Most councils do start their meetings with a short karakia and finish. We can look at that, and whether it's the same karakia that every council uses, or we reach out to Arawhenua for something appropriate to us. So, open.
I'm happy to do that, but I think you should cover all. All prayers mean many things to many people. As a diverse community, you can't just, we need to be. There's many. We've talked about diversity of cultures, so we should be thinking that as well at the same time. Probably one other comment I'd like to make about the education part. I look at on page 21, Stuart Wilson, ironically, he made a comment there at the end though, as the Ashburton Museum Historic Society, which is probably different. It's one of the different groups compared to the arts and culture. It's about the history of the Ashburton district, and I read the priority area 2 in the strategy, and I don't see a feel there for education about the history of the district. It's about culture, but it's not about the history of the district. And so what I'm trying to get at is Ashburton has a proud agricultural 150 years of developing our district into what it is. And that, I feel, in the education part is perhaps lacking. It's a lot of culture and mahakitai and supporting creative learning, cultural knowledge sharing, but there's nothing about our history of our district. History is very lacking in the education part.
Carolyn?
And I also read Stuart's comment as well, and that sort of resonated with me. And when we did the interpretive panels in town, they are addressing the history, and we have little QR codes in the domain that address the history, but there's a lot of history in this town, and a lot of the blue plaques and a lot of other stuff that we don't necessarily expand upon or inform the young people about. And I wonder if that's something that does need to be acknowledged and sort of dealt to. And a steering group could do that if we had arts, culture and heritage representatives in that. And we could address that.
Tony?
Thank you. I think karakia is something that we could look at, but we also should look at the other, which I said before, the diverse range of groupings that we have in our district, that we should be also including them in some sort of welcome at the start of our meetings.
Just throwing it out there, to me karakia is a form of, and it's not necessarily karakia, but we could have any sort of stated intention at the start of meetings. Is kind of what it is, you know, why we're here, the purpose we're here, and yeah, what we want for the district. So to me, that's the spirit of the karakia, of to remind councillors our job and why we're here and who we're serving. So that's all. Deb?
I wasn't going to speak to that, but I'll just acknowledge it given it's been commented on. And I think in line with the strategy, it's definitely something that we can look at. But I was just moving forward to the comments on youth and the importance for youth of the arts, culture and heritage. And it's really important, as we also saw through Izzy Mosley's beautiful submission that she did, that kids especially, they're learning who they are and it gives them something else to do. So another way to do it. So it, yeah, further strengthens how important this aspect is.
Other comments, page 21, or we'll move to page 22. Just further submissions referencing the importance of youth. And on page 23, there's the feedback from the people who do not support the goal and its objective. So council feedback, we will look into the adding the more adding a more specific reference to history of the district. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Hooper?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with that. And maybe Madison and I attend every school holidays the art gallery, and they always have something very cool on. So maybe that's something that could be history related, could be morphed into some of the wee activities that go on there. Maybe just as a wee idea. But yeah, applaud for the art gallery for the activities as well as the library and all the other spots around town. They're great.
Richard?
I just want to acknowledge we do it. I think it's just that we've missed out saying that we do it. That's probably what I'm getting at. We do it, very good job, you know, but I think we need to identify it, that it is something that we do.
I will move on to goal number 3, which is participation. To improve access to arts, culture and heritage opportunities by reducing barriers to participation, making better use of existing venues, resources and spaces across the district. So for this goal, we had 37 people supporting it and 3 people not supporting it, starting with the supportive commentary on page 25.
I'll talk to you.
Sorry.
You're right. On page 25, there's a reference to the limitation by covenant on the use of the art gallery. Is there a comment on that one, sort of, as to does that limit its use?
Sarah?
Through the chair, yes, there are covenants on the facility. Does it limit its use? Not the activity per se. There are numbers that we have to meet within. There is parking that we have to consider, but it does, and also the times of day that we open also have to be in line with the resource consent. So if we wanted to dramatically change things like that, it would be impactful. But the current operation as to what you see now is managed within the consent. If we were doing things, as you're well aware, with regards to external whether it's trees, whether it's building, plant downstairs, etc., that is very closely linked to the resource consent, and we need to get permission to do any changes. And to that end, there's a park, for example, an accessible park that ideally we'd like to change, but whether or not that can be changed unless you change resource consent is a question. So there's a few things like that could be improved, but it's not hindering the activity per se.
Can I just ask a question around that? For example, if the art gallery wanted to put on an evening of music or something, are they limited with that for noise, that kind of thing?
Noise is definitely something that we would be, I don't know if limited is the right word, but we'd be cognizant of. With regards to, it would be numbers of attendees, but there would also be the number of events that we can have outside of operating hours. So I think off the top of my head, I'm looking, I think it's 9 or 11 per year, or there's some magic number. And with most exhibitions occurring within or scheduled as we do, we're okay with regards to that. But if there was a string of them, yes, that would be something that might trigger.
Carolyn?
I've got another topic. Is that okay? Have we finished this one, or are we going to carry on with this one?
We ready to move on?
No, I'm still on page 28, but it's about the registry of clubs and SOCs in the country that we administer through, or that Citizens Advice Bureau administer on our behalf.
Yep.
We did have some feedback that was didn't entirely meet the requirements. Is there anything from the officers with regards to that, and is anybody looking at that or monitoring that? I'm talking about David Fisher's thing about where do people get information about the various opportunities.
Through the chair, I think the Citizens Advice Bureau Community Directory, it can only do so much. I think it's a great port of call for knowing what's around and who the best point of contact is. I think this does sweep into that wider discussion point around how we know about what's happening when and who's doing it, and it's probably a gap that has come through in the feedback, and that we have been hearing for a while now around almost that coordinated type approach to promotion and knowing what's happening. So Council does give an annual grant to Citizens Advice Bureau for the work that they do, and when you look at the scale of that directory, it's impressive. I don't think we could be expecting anything further with the investment we're making.
No, that was going to be my follow-on question. We give a grant to the Citizens Advice Bureau for citizens advice. Do we also give a grant to them for maintaining and keeping up to date that registry?
No, they see that as a part of their role as being the Citizens Advice Bureaus, to have that information as well as that support for our community.
And when I go on the Ashburton District Council website, I'm just going to go on there now, where do I find that link to those? Because we were going to put that on the front page. I don't think it is. If I'm on the front page, it doesn't have, I've just gone on to search. If I go home, we were going to put that, and I'm going back years and years and years, like our no smoking. We're a no smoking council. We were going to put that somewhere where it was obvious as well, but I can't see where people would find quickly the list of clubs and SOCs.
Yeah, so it sits under the district tab, and it's the fourth one down, called Community Directory, but I do understand what you're saying.
Where's the district tab? Oh, you go up to the third way across and you go to the,
so it's around the competing priorities of that front page of our website. But we can have another look and see if there's a way that we can lift its prominence.
Or perhaps if we do have an Arts, Culture and Heritage week, open week, we could prioritise that to the front page or something, or, that
absolutely.
type thing. I think that's important. Thank you.
Phil?
Thank you. On that, I was just going to say, Carolyn, that I think that the working group or the steering group will allay some of those issues around that, and especially around double ups and coordination and who can promote what where, and I know her and she can put that on her Facebook page, that sort of thing. I think that will gel in perfectly there.
Liz?
I was just going to add really quickly that Safe and Mid Canterbury also help pay for the Citizens Advice, what's it called? The booklet. Registry. And also Experience Mid Canterbury have a What's On guide, so they have events that are on, but you have to put those on yourself. So they used to be on the front of the Council. It used to be right down the bottom of the our website. Now I see you have to click on Experience Mid-Canterbury to get to that. So,
can I make a comment, please, Madam Chair? When I go on the community directory and I tick it, it's got search our community. You can view the Ashburton community directory on the Citizens Advice website. So you click on that and you go through to that, and it's got community directory at the top of that page. And then you've got to look for what you're looking for. You know, so it's not, it's a multi-regioned thing, so you've got to put Ashburton in, which comes up, it's a bit of searching, it comes up under Canterbury, and you find your Ashburton, and then you do search, so you've got to put in knitting or something in that. You can't just go through and browse and see, like a kid at school, you can sign up for a whole lot of stuff because you're on the wall. You can't find the stuff unless you put the topic in, if you search it. Thank you.
Richard.
Oh, beg your pardon, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. It's with regards to, there's a bit of talk around, some of the submitters have talked about, access through cost, money to, and we do, it is, I am right, it is free to enter the Museum Art Gallery at the moment, isn't it? Yes, it is correct. Whereas Te Papa, you actually pay a fee now in Wellington to go. So I wonder if one of our objectives, we should be saying, no, you wouldn't put that in there? I just thought it acknowledge that it is free. I don't know if you could make a comment on that, maybe.
Through the chair, Te Papa there's a fee, for international visitors.
Yeah.
But New Zealand residents can visit Te Papa for free unless there's special exhibitions that have a charge to them. So they might have a unique one-off exhibition that you do pay for, but other than that, it is free to enter. It would I'm unaware of any regional gallery that would have entry fees.
So probably what I'm getting at is from if you're a ratepayer, it needs to be acknowledged somewhere, or that we do not subsidise, we do not charge for the venue as part of our strategy, you could say, to make it encompassive for all, so that it's not a barrier. If we charge $10 a visit, that'd be a barrier to many people. And so when we talk about the role of the ADC, it's supporting it quite, the ratepayers are supporting it quite strong financially to ensure that it is free to enter. So I don't know how you can encompass that, because it is an outcome that we do. We support it, to say that we don't put enough money in, well, people need to understand that we do put quite a bit of money into these facilities to make sure they're free for all.
And that's part of the accessibility, isn't it? And inclusivity. Mayor Liz.
I was just going to quickly do a time check, because I know we were supposed to start our next workshop at 11:15, which won't probably happen now. But I'm guessing if we pushed it out to 11:30, would we have enough time to get through everything, or is that pushing it too much?
Hopefully. Sort of depends on you. But we can try.
Okay, let's whiz.
If we need to adjourn this to do the AP workshop, we can, at Council's direction, and we can find another time to resurrect it.
All right, well, we were at page 28. I'll move on to page 29.
Carolyn?
There's 70 pages, so I don't think we will get through them all by the time you want to start the next workshop, Liz, is it?
Page 30. Page 31. And page 32.
Sorry, just a very, very quick question. Talking about the rural schools coming into Rokawhiria, and we know that Sport Canterbury subsidised sport travel. Are there any grants available for schools to fund any sort of bus travel so that they can come in?
Through the chair, no, and there aren't at the moment. So the Sport New Zealand Rural Travel Fund is specifically for keeping kids in sport. The Creative Communities funding that we administer on behalf of Creative New Zealand is for creative events, workshops, not for bringing kids to a location. But that's an opportunity in the future potentially.
Carolyn.
Thank you, through the chair. Talking about accessibility, are our opening hours appropriate? Do we review those regularly, like the library or Rockferry, or are all our amenities open at the appropriate times and stuff? Do we ask people that they, Sunday morning at 5 o'clock, there might be somebody up and about wanting to go? Do we ascertain?
Didn't we adjust them recently, cutting down a late night or something, Sarah?
Through the chair, yes, we did in terms of Rockefeller. There was a Wednesday late night that was reduced. So the art gallery and museum is open 10 till 4 every day of the week. And in terms of visitation, that provides a really good coverage, and we have had really good numbers, as you can see through the activity briefings, attending the facility. Would there be, and with events also in addition to that, outside of those hours, as per when required, the Te Whare Whakatere in terms of the library hours, that is reviewed on a basis of visitation. We increased our hours when we moved to this building, which was more hours than the weekend, to acknowledge that during the week there is, a lot of commitments on with families and people working. So now we are 10 till 4 again, both days of the weekend, whereas previously it was only 3 hours each Saturday or each Sunday. Mm-hmm. So we have uplifted that. The main driver in terms of hours does boil down to cost. So it is better to have higher visitation in the hours that you're open than larger hours and the same visitation. So, and that's just a balancing thing. So we do look at it as officers, and also there are opportunities for visitors to provide feedback. So if we were to get comments along those lines that there was something missing, we would look at that and consider it as part of a budget round amendment.
Okay, yeah, I completely understand the overhead component of it. I suppose, like, my question really related to, are we continually reviewing the opening hours? For example, with the library, if they're open longer hours on Sunday, are we seeing the numbers that support that opening? Or if they're open shorter hours, did we see a drop? I'm just suggesting, are we reviewing that as part of the strategy to make sure that if there's a big shift in attendance for whatever reason, I don't know, that we're up to date and meeting the needs of the clients or the customers?
Yes, I actually see this outside of the strategy. It's more an operational matter that the director and myself and councillors as a whole would be responsible for, as opposed to the strategy. But yes, we do review it.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next goal?
That's goal number 4, promotion and celebration, on page 33. So the purpose here is to celebrate the diverse cultures, stories and creativity that shape our place and people. And 36 people out of 40 supported it and 4 were against. And on page 34, we have the first feedback on support. Page 35. Page 36.
Can I just ask, Edith Smith made a point saying that her historic places, Mid-Canter, are being overlooked when decisions are being made to significant heritage sites. Can we have a comment on that and their involvement or lack of? Ian?
Yeah, thank you. So resource management processes go through a statutory consultation exercise when there is a notification, and it's determined by who is an affected party. There's a standard process for that. interest groups are like Heritage Canterbury are they sort of fall in a little bit of a grey area, but it's certainly comments that have been noted, and I think even if it doesn't fall within a statutory requirement to consult, it's certainly something we can carry forward in terms of informal consultation and engagement on these matters going forward.
Carolyn?
I look at the promotion and celebration 4.4, leverage arts, culture and heritage activities to attract visitors and provide economic benefit to the district. And when you read some of the comments, the overall tenet is that we're perhaps not doing that optimally. Now that will again come up in the activities to support that. I mean, it's basically, as per Selwyn and a few other submitters' comments, that they want us to get behind them in posh activities. Are we doing that, do you feel, in a genuine, or can we do that better? And is that in the operations or the activities part of the, the action plan?
Sarah?
From a facilities and council perspective, we work closely with our comms team, and the Rockcliffe area has a marketing coordinator as well, an engagement coordinator, so that role is about promotion, and we do. I guess that the challenge is the strategy is a strategy for the whole sector, so whether a dance club promotes and engages on the wider community and shares their information, that is actually outside of our realm. So this is the joy and also a challenge, I guess, of having a strategy that is council and community focused. There is so much we can do, and we pride ourselves on doing all that we can to the limit we can, but there are other parties involved who also have that responsibility, and I think some of those comments would fall there as well.
Thank you. And I guess again that's another case for having some sort of, as per your suggestion earlier, Julie, some sort of steering committee, because as we know, the community is the council, and council would be no council without the community. So we somehow have to make that work a little bit better than perhaps what's been suggested by some of the submitters.
Thank you. We are now at page 37. Is that correct? Page 38. And the last comments on this go on page 39.
Carolyn? Richard?
I'm quite happy with the strategy as it sits with regards to the comments, so I support what we've got in place currently in the strategy.
All right, I'll move to goal number 5, provision. That's to maintain and sustainably manage the spaces, resources and support systems needed for arts, culture and heritage to thrive. So again, there were 40 responses to this specific question, with 37 submitters supporting it and 3 submitters not in support. And feedback starting from page 41. $42. $43. $44.
Liz.
Thank you. Just on Selwyn Price's Hakatiri Multicultural Council comment around the ethnic gardens, that was a Welcoming Communities initiative, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So there's no no sort of plan for doing something similar?
There's always plenty of good ideas. It just comes down to the time and the resourcing that we've got available to make it happen. If there was a particular desire to see it resurrected by a particular group, because we do like the community groups to be involved as well, then we could help to try and coordinate that. But it's not a key priority for welcoming communities at this point in time.
Okay.
That could be something along the lines of the community garden, where a bunch of people came together and got their own garden going. Perhaps that kind of thing.
All right, thank you. So after the discussing the individual goals, we asked our submitters about their priorities of these goals. And as you will see, there's a ranking that developed from their feedback with it's quite a even, it's not a very, it's as also one of the submitters said, it's actually everything is equally important. So there's not one priority area that stands out significantly compared to the others.
Do you want to say something, Richard?
Yeah, just back on the provisions about the buildings and all that, and we've got all these lovely words about, assets to meet community needs and expectations, and arts to maintain heritage values and safe and functionality. That's all great, but how are you going to fund it? We would have loved to have done it at the Balmoral Hall, kept it beautiful. We would have loved to have done all this, but there's a disconnect. The strategy says we should have the best art gallery in New Zealand. We should fund and promote it. Well, but where's there's a tension, we can say that, but we need to, because if I was reading the strategy, I'd say, well, your goal number 5.5, plan for the long-term sustainability of facilities, service and assets. And it's include consideration in the long-term plan. It's just, how do you, temper that with other needs of the council? Because otherwise we're not meeting the strategy.
And therein lies the tension. I think it's, if you come down to 5.4, that's about ensuring investment decisions are strategic, evidence-based and financially sustainable. And that's where that tension really starts to come into play with regard to how the future of a building decision would be made by a council through an annual plan or long-term plan process. So there is a way we could have everything that we all ever wanted, but life's not like that. It's always about trade-offs.
Phil.
Just quickly, because I know we're pressed for time, but on Julie Luxton's comment around Balmoral Hall and lack of maintenance, I think that's been well and truly received and acknowledged that it's been a failing in the past, and we're looking to do our very best going forward.
Millers.
So just I know we're talking about the time, but this, the deliberations deserve more time than, we can't cut it short and not discuss it. So I'm wondering if we go into our budget workshop, and then if there's not time today to finish this off, then maybe there's some time next week. We put another hour aside just so that we give the strategy and you guys have put in a lot of work so that it gets discussed and we're not sort of rushing in.
When do you suggest doing that, Tony?
If we could find the time today, we could try and resurrect the conversation post-council today. Otherwise, we have got a workshop scheduled for next Wednesday that we could potentially take an hour out of that time frame and come back to this, because totally agree, there's some really interesting conversations to be had.
Okay, thank you, Femke. And thank you everyone today, those watching online and councillors and everyone who's put a submission in for the arts, the draft Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy hearing and deliberations, and we will resume this at a later time. Thank you.